Hey guys, welcome to Blending Alerts. Today I'll be teaching you how to make this beautiful butterfly gown. So if it is something you are interested in, please stay till the end of the video. If you are watching my channel for the first time or you have not subscribed to my channel, please go and click on the subscribe button. Thank you my old subscribers for subscribing. I'll be using this fabric for the tutorial. It is a 3 yard fabric, so if your client is big you will need more than 3 yard. So I'll be using a paper to illustrate it since the camera cannot cover the full fabric. So I'll be using this paper to illustrate it. So you assume this is your fabric, that is, this paper here is your fabric. Then this side is the longest part of the fabric, that is where the yardage is. So this is the longest part of the fabric, and you just go ahead and fold this way, like so. Fold this way. If you should wash carefully, there's no joining at the shoulder of a butterfly gown unless your fabric is not enough. So I went ahead to fold it into two, like so. As I've told you before, that's the wideness, that's the yardage or the longest part of your fabric. So you go ahead and measure your client to it will determine where to fold in your fabric. So I went ahead to fold it into two, then into four, like so. So this is how it looks after folding it into four. So your fabric, go ahead and fold it into four, like so. So automatically this upper part becomes your shoulder line, and there's no slit at this shoulder. So this is your shoulder line automatically. So I'll just go ahead and draft it so that you can see how it is. So after measuring the shoulder, that is drawing the shoulder line, the next thing you're going to do is to mark the armhole. Go ahead and mark the armhole. So I went ahead to mark the armhole. From the shoulder to the armhole is 10 inches. So go ahead and mark it on your fabric. Then also go ahead and mark your waistline. That line that I'm pointing out is the waistline, which is 16. Then you go ahead and also mark your hip line, which is 24. So I'm just drafting it out so that you can see how it looks. So go ahead and connect it on both sides. Connect it after dividing your that is your bust into four. Go ahead and connect it, and your waist into four, waistline, and also your hip into four. Then you can go ahead and also um add your sewing allowance of 1.5 or 2 inches at this side. So while drafting it, I just discovered that the bust is wider than the waist, so I went ahead to correct it. I went ahead to add the seam allowance of 1.5 inch or 2 inches. So I went ahead to mark the neck line. The neckline is 3.5 inches. It depends on your client. So it is 3.5 inches I want to use for my client. That's for the fabric. So for both back and front, it's 3.5. So the depth of the back is 1.5 inch. So I will first of all draw the depth for the back before the front neckline depth, which is wider and deeper, which is deeper than the back neckline. The front neckline is 6 inches. So I will go ahead and cut the back neckline first together, like so. So watch carefully how I did it. So I cut both sides. You can see both the front and back while cutting the neckline for the back. But for the front, you can see how I opened up my material, my fabric, and I fold it like so. So go ahead and fold your fabric like so. So we cut at the neck depth of the front only. You can see for the front I did not cut both equally. You can see how it looks. So I cut both the back and the front neckline without slitting the shoulder. So this is how it looks. So go ahead and fold it back. So you measure your wing, you can determine how wide your wing will look like. So if your client do not want wide wing, just go ahead and trim it off. So your wing could be 4, could be 2, it all depends on what you want. So I'll go ahead and do this on my fabric. After cutting it out on my fabric, cutting the neckline, then I'll show you what next to do. I have cut it out on the fabric. You can see how it is on the fabric. So I'm just trying to show you that exactly what I did on this paper illustration. That's what I did for the fabric. So I went ahead to cut facing for the um neckline, the neck depth and the neck part of this dress. So go ahead and do yours. The front is a um v-shaped neckline. So I went ahead to cut facings for it, which I will just go ahead and sew all through. Then I'm going to, after sewing it all through, I'm going to flip it inside at the wrong side. That is, presently this is the right side of the fabric. So after sewing it, I'm going to flip it inside, and after notching the edges, so you can see how it looks after sewing it and fixing it inside. I've not given it a good press, that's why it still look a little bit rough. After ironing it, it's going to really come out very good and nice. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to join this side. Next thing I'm going to do now is to join this side. So I'm going to fold my fabric like so, as I folded my paper into 4. Folded my fabric into 4. You can see how it is. So what I'm going to do first of all now is to measure the armhole, like I showed you in the paper illustration, from the shoulder 10 inches downward. Then mark your waistline 16, then your hip line 24. So after marking that, you go ahead and divide on the armhole point there. Divide your bust by 4 inches. Then you add your 1.5 inch allowance for ease, or your 2 inches allowance for ease. So you do same for the waistline also, divide it by 4, then add your ease allowance. It all depends on how you want it. So my chalk is not really showing because the fabric is so colorful, so you cannot really see it. But if you should follow the video, if you follow the illustration, you'll be able to get what I'm saying. You do same to the hip line. This my client is very very hippie, that's why the shape is just like so. So you go ahead and use the hip line to take the measurement downward, your hip line measurement. That's what you're going to use, downward. After adding your ease, take it downwards. So you do same, flip this fabric over and do same for the other side. Then lay it flat, that in twos on your machine. Then go ahead and sew it. So remember, this is the right side, this is not the wrong side of the fabric, this is the right side. So we are sewing on the right side of the fabric, not the wrong side. So I'll go ahead and sew on this side. I will lay it into 2, then I'll sew it at the other side also. So that will be all for the gown. So go ahead and you can leave ease at the bottom of the gown, like 10 inches upward. You can decide to fold this side and the bottom, or you go ahead and use industrial weaving machine to weave the edges. It will really come out beautiful. So if you are not subscribed to my channel, please do go and click on the subscribe button. Share this link with others on your social media platform. See you in our next tutorial. Bye.